As the year of the rat comes to an end, it's time to usher in a fresh start. Ranking number 2 on the Chinese Zodiac, the Ox represents wealth and strength, and it's very nearly upon us. In the Chinese language, the word for ox can also mean awesome. So I'd like to wish all of our audience at home and abroad an awesome Chinese New Year. Now, as one of the oldest celebrations in the world, the Spring Festival is the most important period of time for the Chinese people and an occasion for family reunions. But for many of us this year, both at home and overseas, the pandemic is forcing us to rethink our plans. How are people trying to connect with their family and loved ones? Has the meaning of Spring Festival changed in the age of COVID-19? Welcome to this special edition of The Point with me, Liu Xin. I'm pleased to be joined by 6 special guests, and they are from Montreux, Switzerland, Angelo Giuliano, a political and financial analyst. From Vancouver, Canada, Cyrus Janssen, senior consultant at APP Marketing Solutions, better known for his YouTube channel. From Wuhan, China, Adham Sayed, PhD candidate at Huazhong University of Science and Technology. From New York, Amanda Yi, an independent analyst. From Qingdao, China, Jerry Goode, a content creator on YouTube. And last but not least, from Bali, Indonesia, Carl Jha, host of the Silk and Steel podcast. Hello, everybody. I know all of you, but I'm sure for our audiences it will take a little bit of self-introduction. Let's do it like around a dinner table. How about that? Let me start with Cyrus. So tell us first of all, what is your plan for Spring Festival and what's happening in Vancouver, Canada?
Yeah, so our family, we have a little festival tradition. We actually love enjoying hot pot, so that's kind of a big tradition in our family. We just like it in the sense because we get to spend a lot more time at the table and enjoy a very long meal. So we'll be preparing for a big hot pot celebration. Unfortunately, we won't be able to have any friends or family over, since we're under lockdown restrictions here, still with COVID, but we're going to continue the tradition with the family, my wife and our 3 children, and enjoy a nice hot pot. Everything's going well in Vancouver.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about your family, because it sounds like you have a rather mixed culture, right? Because the hot pot is not a traditional Canadian specialty. Tell us a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my wife is met in Shanghai. She's originally from Guangdong. But we both just really enjoy the hot pot, so that's our little tradition. But we have 3 children. We have a 5-year-old daughter and then twin 2-year-old boys. So we have a very lively household, and we're training them to enjoy hot pot just like their mother and father do.
Wow, that's lovely. I love that kind of atmosphere. It must be fun for the children as well. But one thing a lot of people are curious, because I understand you spent 10 years in China and you actually speak up for China a lot on the internet, both on Twitter and on YouTube. You try to explain China to a lot of people. But some people ask, if China is so good, why did you choose to leave? Why did you choose to move back to Canada, for instance?
Yeah. No, it's a very fair question. And actually, I made a YouTube video about it last month that was really well received. And I explained it very simple. I said, the reason that I left China was the same reason I went to China in the first place. And that was one word: opportunity. I'm originally from America. I've been living abroad for 14 years. And, at the time in 2007, when I first went to China, I had an amazing opportunity to begin my career there. I loved it in China. It was fantastic. And then, I had just a great opportunity to come to Vancouver, Canada. Canada is not my home country. I'm from America, so this is a new country, a new experience for me here. But I always say, it's amazing because where I live in Richmond, the city of Richmond, it is 70% Chinese. So every day I go out in the streets, I speak Chinese, I go to Chinese restaurants, Chinese markets. That it is really a continuation of my China journey. And now with my consulting firm, I help a lot of North American companies, dealing with Chinese relations. So, I always say, my China journey is still continuing. I'm just in the very far east province.
Tell us about that huge mic in front of you. I mean, I'm sure everybody is wondering, how are you so professionally equipped? Just briefly, of course.
I started my YouTube channel, last year, and I just wanted to get a little bit more professional. So I'm just trying to, step my game up, if you will.
Great.
Just to try to bring the best I can to the audience,
The sound,
as we help more people around the world understand China.
the sound is definitely great. Yeah. Let me move to Amanda. Amanda, yeah. Let me move to Amanda in New York. So, hi, Amanda. Tell us a bit about yourself. You are Chinese American, I suppose. What is the story of your family? Yeah, and how do you plan to celebrate the Spring Festival?
Yeah, I'm Chinese American. I've lived in the States all my life. My parents are both from the south of China. They're Cantonese. And yeah, I guess for Spring Festival, normally I would go and see my parents, but they live out of state. So unfortunately, because of lockdown and the pandemic, I won't be able to see them this year. But they usually go over to my aunt's house, and everyone prepares a lot of food, and there's a lot of eating, and unfortunately, I won't be able to join in that this year.
So what are you going to do instead? Are you trying to do something to make up for that? Are you, changing a plan, but try to, have a kind of a different holiday still?
I think I might have like a small gathering with friends, and I will call my parents and we'll probably FaceTime, and then I'll try and live vicariously through them. Yeah.
What about the community? I mean, in New York, you have a relatively large Chinese community as well, and
We do,
yeah,
yeah.
I understand every year there are a lot of traditional celebrations as well, before the COVID. Now, how about this year?
Yeah, so usually there are festivities in Chinatown, and sometimes I'll go. They usually have a parade in Manhattan, Chinatown. I'm not sure if they're going to do that this year because the pandemic has hit New York City really, really hard. Yeah.
Well, you sound really low and a little bit helpless. Is there any silver lining to this? Are you able to cope with it, or the Chinese Americans are they able to cope with it and still have a little bit of fun at
Yeah,
least?
I think. Yeah, I think we found like, if anything, the pandemic has brought like all of us together. We've created like sort of a tight-knit community here, and yeah, I it's been a tough year, but I think we've really been there for each other.
Yeah. Angelo, let me go to you. In Switzerland, I know there's not much of a Chinese New Year in Montreux, especially, which is a lovely but tiny place. Tell us a little bit about your plan for the Spring Festival. Are you able to find enough Chinese friends to celebrate it?
In my position, it's a bit difficult. My family, my wife and my son, they are in China right now. They're in Dandong. It's close to the North Korea. And I'm kind of blocked here, stuck in Switzerland. I can't go back to China for the moment. So it's a little bit difficult, but we manage through FaceTime, and just need to be patient for me to go back to China.
When you say you are stuck in Switzerland, is it because of the difficult procedures necessary to take a flight? Because I experienced that last year. It is very difficult to get a ticket in the first place from Switzerland to China, and then you have to get all the tests and so on and so forth.
The problem is that I was staying in Hong Kong, so that I don't have a residence in the mainland China. So I want to go there, but it's a bit difficult. And I'm not married. So I don't have a residence. It's a bit difficult to go there. So I'm looking for solutions.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. But tell us a little bit about your life in Hong Kong. You did make a lot of headlines, and you smile. You did make a lot of headlines when,
Yes.
during that most difficult period of time. Now thinking back, let's not think about those, ugly pictures. Let's think about the holidays, your understanding of the Spring Festival, and how it has changed over the years.
It's just a different time, and this year is a special year. But I've always enjoyed the Chinese festival. Just the whole thing about the dumplings and the gathering. And I've always had lots of friends to invite me. When I was staying in mainland China, during the festival, I was always surrounded by friends. So it was a great time. The equivalence of our Christmas in Europe.
Mm. How do you feel about this year that there are so many people who are discouraged to go back to their home? You know, you mentioned Christmas. For a lot of people, this is like canceling Christmas, right? For the Westerners, how do you feel about that? And why do you think it is possible for many Chinese just say, okay, we are going to follow those advice and stay at home and away from our family?
I think this is a special year. I think we need to take this as a learning, philosophically saying, well, we need to cherish what we have. And I think as far as for Chinese, I think it's a population, it's a nation which is very resilient, and it's just amazing when you see how China has coped with the pandemic. I saw a very united country, and I think this is. It's a small sacrifice compared to what the history of China and also how they dealt at the beginning of the pandemic. I think for Chinese, it's not so much a big deal just to make a last effort for this year.
Yeah, indeed. Well, it is still difficult. Not going to underestimate the difficulty, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, to be able to not be able to reunite with your family after a long year of waiting and working and holding back and discipline, and then the last moment you're told it's better to stay put. But I just saw the news earlier that still on the first day of the Spring Festival travel season, some 17 million trips were made. So it is good that still so many people are able to make some trips home. It's just a lot more hassle. They have to get their tests, they have to go home and observe, so on and so forth. But hopefully people will be able to find a way to gather with their loved ones. Adham, let me go to you in Wuhan.
Yes.
Yeah, you probably can tell us a bit more about what's happening in central China. You're on the ground. You're even better than I am. I'm from home to work, from work to home. You're actually living, right, a full alive, I would say, and then the other guests as well who are stationed in other parts of the world. Tell us a little bit about the atmosphere in Wuhan at this special moment, because almost exactly a year ago, the Spring Festival was cancelled, right, overnight, right before the Spring Festival Eve.
Yes.
The whole city was locked down. So people had no memory of the last Spring Festival. Now this year, they were looking forward to it, and all of a sudden, it feels like, uh-oh, slow down, right? So what is the atmosphere like in Wuhan?
Look, I like this time last year, of course, we were in a lockdown, and all the plan for New Year was deleted. Like for me, I went out my university last year in 22 January night to spend the New Year with a Chinese family. So to check how it is, But actually, the second day morning in 23 January morning, they closed Wuhan, and we stay in lockdown for very long time, like almost 76 days. This year, it's of course it's different. Like if all time I speak about Wuhan, like it's the city, an example of city which like go back to normal. If you want to know how the life is after the virus, after the pandemic, just look to Wuhan, because for us, since 18 March last year, no any cases in Wuhan. So if you go out now, you can see that the streets, it's empty, but not because lockdown, because people go back to their hometowns, to I don't know where exactly, to spend the New Year with their family. So yeah, and also me, I have many invitations this year from Chinese families, especially those who read my book, and they read about like my family, and I'm far and I can't meet my family. So I have a lot of invitations this year, and I will spend also the New Year with
you become a celebrity. You become a celebrity, yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I know this book. It's called Confidence Comes from Effectiveness, a Foreigner's Wuhan Diary. I actually read it and I recommend it to the readers. It's a great pleasure on my part. But tell us a little bit about this book. Why did you feel...
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Why did you feel it was necessary to write such a book, you know, especially in the form of a diary, and how it's been received?
Look, actually, what's happened in Wuhan, I think, or in Hubei in general, I think we faced like this situation for the first time in the history. We didn't face like this situation, like closed a city, and also like 52 million people was in quarantine for all this time. And what we did here, how we fight here, how other people come from out of China, like not out of China, out of Wuhan to help us. It was very, very like impressive, you know. And for me, I try to show for people out of China the truth about what's happened here, because, you know, in the first 2 weeks, a lot of rumors, a lot of fake news, like people die in the street and I don't know what. So all what I did during the lockdown is to show the truth. And after that, after we finished, I said, let me like wrote all those in book, because we have to be proud about what we did. Maybe I did a small part in this small book, you know, but actually I think each one was here in Wuhan, or each one like come to Wuhan to help us. All those are heroes, you know, and each one from those, maybe 11 million in Wuhan, 11 million people live in Wuhan, we can write 11 million books about each one from those. Yeah. So this is why I wrote this book.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them don't get the mic, right? They don't get the possibility to speak, not just to a domestic audience, but you know, even less to an international audience, and that is the problem. But tell me, which invitation are you accepting for the Spring Festival holiday, or which one are you considering?
Yeah, actually, there is family. The mother in that family, she reads the book and she cry a lot when I speak about my mother.
Aww.
So she said for her like a daughter, which is my friend, like we have to invite him because he's far from his family. So I will go to this family.
Nice.
Nice, yeah,
Very nice.
That's very nice. Yeah. Okay, let me go to Jerry now. Jerry Goode, who's in Qingdao, and you know, the Shandong province in eastern China. It's very famous for people who are good at drinking. Endless wines and a lot of copious food. And yeah, what are you looking at this time, Jerry? Are you good at, do you have high tolerance for alcohol, first of all?
Yes, I do. That is why I moved, like you said, to Qingdao.
Oh, is it?
Everyone was speaking about it. Yeah, everyone. Actually,
oh, by the way, you have a nice microphone.
By
the way, you have a nice microphone too.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, okay. so seriously, I was actually in Xi'an for very long, like 4 years. I lived in Xi'an, and I've been studying China. Where's my next move? Where will I go? And everyone is talking about Beijing, Shanghai, all that cool places. And one guy told me, listen, man, go check out the beer in Qingdao and Gala. So I was like, what is Gala? And they said, no, it's like this small little shellfish. Because in Xi'an, I was in love with rojam mo.
It's like a Chinese-style hamburger, right? Meat in between two pieces of cake.
That's right. Yeah. But here's the thing. This is the secret. You get rojam mo everywhere in China, but Xi'an has got it. It's just perfect over there. Perfect. But moving on to Qingdao, my home, I call this my hometown. I'm actually a Xi'an Lawai, but I call this my hometown, Qingdao. I instantly fell in love with the architecture of the city, the vibe, the people. Listen, here's the thing. I just want to make it clear. I love the beer, I love the gala, but the reason I chose Qingdao, and I promise you guys I will stay in Qingdao for the rest of my life. But anyway,
oh, really?
The reason I choose Qingdao is because the people. You have no idea how awesome Shandong people. I can tell you, in Shandong, Qingdao, the people are so warm-hearted. They are so, everything is so laid back, but yet so fast-paced. And the people just accept everything. It's like everything is okay. Everything is okay, and that's what I like, because that's what I believe. If everything is okay, if you're a laid-back person, if you are a calm person, you can find easy solutions.
How do they get things done? That's the question here, right? If they're so laid back that they accept everything, life is good, but on the other hand, they're also very efficient. How does that happen? How does that work,
That's
Jerry?
right.
Does it work?
That is something in, I think it's something in the water, because this is only, it's only Shandong people that can do this. Open hearts, warm hearts, laid back people, but they get the job done. Like I said, these guys find easy solutions to difficult situations in a jiffy like this.
All right. Well, you have a headshot on your Twitter account, which is you on a bike. Does that define kind of your lifestyle, aside from the drinking and the rojamo? Is bicycling a big part of your life? And what about the Spring Festival? Yeah.
My Twitter handle is basically, if I can speak about mine, mine is basically a little bit satire, if you want, but also, you know, can I just explain who I am? On YouTube, I make content, right?
Yeah. Keep it short, though. Keep it short.
Yeah, I approach a different tactic. I do live streaming from inside the country. So people cannot tell me, listen, you are making this beautiful editing videos trying to push propaganda. So I do it live in their faces. Listen, this is live. This is how it is. On my Twitter, but I do it very, very, you know, calm and professional. But on my Twitter account, I basically fall into the satire, you know, division, where I'm a little bit more up against the people talking, obviously, bad stuff about China and about their country. So I'm just standing up and say, listen, but I can do the same within China. So that's what I do on my Twitter, yeah.
Yeah, what about the Spring Festival, quickly? A lot of beer, a lot of what?
Yeah, Spring Festival. So here's the thing. My wife can't see her family for 2 years in a row, and I feel super sorry for that. But hey, we need to make a plan. I live in Qingdao. People taught me to make plans to get things done. So what I've done is I set up a big screen in my room. I'm going to have a projector connected to the internet. I'm going to live stream for like 4 days straight. She can live stream with her family, and she can interact with them in our room on a big screen. I will actually show you guys photos on my Twitter. Go follow me on Twitter. Shameless plug.
Okay.
So I will have like a big screen in my room where she can talk to her family, and we will just have an awesome Spring Festival. The virus won't stop us from having fun. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not in my house.
That's the fighter spirit we need. All right. Okay, let me go to Carl. Carl, I envy you for one thing at least, the weather. How is it in Bali? And
I know you're going to say that.
You knew? Okay, I'm so predictable. So, but what is the weather? I mean, tell us a bit. How does it feel to celebrate Spring Festival wearing, you know, shorts and being able to go to the beach and so on and so forth?
Yeah, it's actually super hot outside right now. Now I'm inside the AC room where I can talk to you without sweating bullets. But you know, I can't complain. I live in a tropical paradise. You know, I just surfed yesterday, and the water is like 80 degrees. It's perfect. I love it. I mean, this is why I chose to live here now. I lived in the United States for about 30 years. Prior to that, I was born and raised in China. So I remember the Spring Festival when I was growing up in Chongqing in 1980s. It was like a lot of fireworks, a lot of food. I mean, the thing I would look forward to as a child in China was the fireworks, of course, and then the food. And you know, that's it's perfect. You don't need more fireworks and food. I don't think the fireworks is possible nowadays, but the food, definitely. I traveled to China in 2019 before I came to Bali. Oh my God, it totally reminded me why I miss China. It's like, you know, I think I tell people Chinese culture, 90% is about the food. I don't think that's an exaggeration.
It's big art, for sure.
I always tell people I'm Chinese not because my Chinese look, but because my Chinese stomach. And part of the reason why I moved back to China is because, man, I can't live without having the food that I feel comfortable with, you know, at least once a week, let's say, you know, outside anyway. But what about in Indonesia? You have actually a very strong Chinese tradition and a rather large Chinese descendant population, right? I'm sure you must be able to find some of the things you crave.
Well, the most of the Chinese immigrants that landed in Indonesia, they're from like the southeastern part of China, like Guangdong, Fujian, right? And then like Amanda East people. So there's a lot of more like food that's closer to like Cantonese food or the Fujian food. I'm craving for some Sichuan food though, because I was born in Chongqing. But luckily, here in Bali, the Indonesian food is very spicy. So that kind of make up for it, because I can't live without the pepper. Yeah,
even in a very hot weather, even in very hot climate.
You have to have spice. Spice is life.
So. So for the Spring Festival, are you going to have some friends over? Are you going to have your own little celebration? How are you going to do it?
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, the COVID is still a situation here in Bali. But I introduced my wife. So I married a local last year, and I introduced my wife to the Chinese food for Spring Festival, tangyuan, which is a glutinous rice ball with a sweet black sesame fillings, and she loved it. So we're gonna get them from the supermarket, and we're gonna do it early because last year we went, it was all sold out. Like it was sold out for a week. So we're gonna go there like just pour it up, and then that's gonna be our Spring Festival.
Yeah, well, it's. That reminds me of my story in Switzerland when I was celebrating the Mid-Autumn Festival, when it was about Mid-Autumn Festival. Every time I pass this Chinese restaurant, they say mooncake on sale. I was like, you know, mooncake. There's no Spring Festival. There's no Mid-Autumn Festival. What do I do? And then on the day of the Mid-Autumn Festival, I was like, I have this craving for mooncake. And then I went to that shop, soda. So you got to plan ahead. A lot of people will have that urge, right, on that very special moment. Still, Spring Festival is very special. That's it for this edition of The Point with me, Liu Xin. As always, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter using the handle Liu Xin in Beijing. Until next time, you've got the point.